I always try to bring a sense of gratitude and dignity and hope into the weavings. And I have to live that myself in order to bring that. It's also an act of becoming, but I don't think the work is really finished until I have the opportunity to share it with other people. I'm Claire Campbell Park. I am an artist, an author, and a lecturer. And I taught at Pima College for 35 years. I taught studio art, color theory, and basic design and weaving and textiles. I came here for the job. I didn't know anything about Tucson, and I just absolutely love the desert. It's just beautiful. The diversity of the desert, the light, the color is a big influence on my work. I've written a book, Creating with Reverence, Art, Diversity, Culture, and Soul. And it was developed in my classes in conversation and reflection with my students, which was wonderful. I loved thinking about things that are beyond just the materiality of art. And in the book, I look at the ideas of artists and craftspeople from many different cultures and ask people to reflect on their own ideas. When I was 18, my parents moved to Montana. All those years, I've would go back every summer and help with the cherry orchard, and totally different life. My parents' property in Montana was right on a lake, and it was just incredibly beautiful. It gave that sense of space, and I think that's really where my appreciation of space really gelled. My textile processes, for me, is a kind of active meditation. What I find most gratifying is that so many people have told me that they just want to walk into my work and stay there, breathe in the color, and heal.
Claire Campbell Park is a phenomenal person, an artist. She is one of the most gentle souls I've ever met. Her work interweaves with that notion of reverence in art and about the meditative qualities.
What I get most pleasure from is just color and technique. And Claire's piece that I have has exceptional technique and a beautiful sense of color. Like any good work of art, it feeds your soul.
At the time that she was originally creating her fibers, she was embracing it more in the spirit of the Bauhaus. So she was looking at it as a means to an end rather than about the repetition, than about what it represented in terms of the trajectory of women artists. I found that really phenomenal because her work is absolutely about the craftsmanship. It's meticulous. You cannot replicate this easily, but it's about ultimately something else. And that's what I find fascinating. It's about color.
I couldn't do what I do now if I hadn't taught literally thousands of students to see color. And we were doing these exercises where I would help them see little tiny differences in color. And at first they thought I was nuts, but then they started seeing for themselves. And it just brings a lot of joy to life. But it's not only the amount of color it's next to, it's the color itself, it's the other colors, it's all relational. And that's what makes it fascinating. Right now I'm using two different kinds of materials. I use the 16-2 linen for my weavings, and I'm using cut paper strips for the paper weavings. The linen frustrates me some because there are only 65 colors available, so I have to blend visually like crazy. And one of the reasons I use the colored paper is because I have hundreds of colors to work with, and it gives me a different kind of freedom in that work.
We met met Claire through the Museum of Art here in Tucson. We just fell in love with this one because of the coloring, or the way they grow into each other.
Any artist in whatever medium, if they really have put it together as well as Claire has put together what she does, then they deserve big recognition. She's right up there with the best.
When I weave, I can't see what I've done after it's rolled under. So I have to keep it in my mind. I had to train my mind and my ability to work with these complex color relationships. The other issue with weaving is you can't erase easily. Unlike a painter, you can't just paint over it. I can take out a few inches. That's the other thing, you gotta get it right. And if you don't get it right, the challenge and half the fun of it is you have to figure out a new solution and work with the proportions. And sometimes it's just a single line of color will bring it back into relationship, into harmony.